All right, welcome back to another edition of Thor's Thoughts. Thor's Thoughts number 8. Doing another Raw recap. It's Monday night. Just got done watching Raw. It's about 10:30. So I figured I might as well do another Raw recap because, I got all the capabilities now. I can do whatever the fuck I want. And it's Thor's Thoughts, so whatever. Still might make this a separate show. I haven't decided yet, but for now it's just a Thor's Thoughts. So Raw starts, opening segment, Rollins is back. We knew this from Extreme Rules last night. If you watch episode 57, we give a little recap of the Extreme Rules pay-per-view. But Seth Rollins is back. He wants his title back. He never lost it. It's his. And pretty much that's the storyline. He wants his title back. I loved how he came out and he was like, screw everybody, because they were cheering. Everyone was so happy to have him back. And then he's like, I burned all the fan letters. I don't care. There's only room for one person on the Seth Rollins bandwagon, and it's me. It was classic Seth Rollins. It was just like his character was before the injury, before he had left. So to come back and pick up right where he left off, I think was a smart move, and not make him the face and Roman Reigns the heel, which everyone thought they were going to do, but just let them be whoever they're going to be and just let the characters just be, And then Reigns comes out, doesn't say anything. Then Shane O'Mac comes out, and he's like, all right, Money in the Bank, Rollins versus Reigns, title match. And that's it. And I honestly don't think Roman Reigns spoke during that whole opening promo, which is, actually probably better for him as a character to speak little as possible. He needs a mouthpiece. He needs like a Paul Heyman. He needs something because obviously one of his weakest parts is his mic work, to be honest. But the opening segment was good. It wasn't great. It was good to see Seth Rollins back. But then we got Sami Zayn versus Sheamus. So they had a bunch of Money in the Bank qualifying matches tonight. Pretty much most of the matches were qualifying matches outside of a couple. I also no Rusev tonight. I realized that now that I just am looking at my thing, no Rusev in the United States Championship. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with that. But yeah, we got Sami Zayn versus Sheamus. Sami Zayn wins. It was a good match. It was a decent match. I watched part of it. I was kind of doing stuff, making food, doing other things. But from what I saw, it was a serviceable match. And Sami Zayn won, which what I figured was going to happen. Sheamus kind of lost it after that. He hung out in the ring after the match, being weird, and then in the back later, like right afterwards, in a promo that Apollo Crews was cutting, Sheamus attacks him. He's got some stick up his butt about the new era with him being part of the old guard. You'd understand why some of these older guys are going to start to get, a little ticked off at some of these newer dudes, because now it's all about these new guys, which I love. I love that they're making it more about the new guys. So then we got New Day comes out. They were doing a happy birthday for Raw, because it was Raw's 1200th episode tonight. And then they had a birthday cake, and they kept moving it out of the ring and like faking they're going to throw it in the crowd's face, faking like they're going to throw it in the announcers' faces. Because we all know every cake that's ever been on Raw has been destroyed. No one's ever eaten it. It always gets tossed in somebody else's face. So then the Social Outcast showed up, kind of ruined the segment. They ended up having a match. They destroyed Social Outcast. Cake went in Heath Slater's face. It was awesome. It was definitely, it was one of the highlights of the show for sure, which New Day always brings it. They have such a good gimmick going, and their promos are so well put together these days. Even the Time Machine one from last week I loved. There's just a lot of stuff they've been doing lately that's worked really well. Then we got The Miz versus Cesaro in another Money in the Bank qualifying match. This was a decent match. It was we've seen a lot of this leading up to the Fatal 4-Way in the pay-per-view last night. So it wasn't anything we haven't seen before. Miz came out, talked about how great he was with his wife, how he's been on a hot streak since his wife, and then he got beat by Cesaro. So Cesaro's in the Money in the Bank, as well as Sami Zayn at this point. And then we got Crews versus Jericho, which was another Money in the Bank qualifying match. This was a pretty good match. I liked how this match worked. Apollo Crews is underrated for sure. He needs to get some more time, I think. He probably needs a little bit more seasoning and a little bit more fine-tuning, but he is such a great athlete that having him in any part of Raw is always welcome for me. So Jericho ended up winning. They kept talking about how he had almost 70 tacks in his body from the match the night before. I think the total count was 67, and he was all bandaged up on his triceps, his back, all had bandages all over it, and Cruz was working hitting those spots. So they were working the injuries really well, working the stuff from last night. Raw actually up until this point has been moving along pretty well, and it was a decent Raw. It's better than I think Raw's been in a few weeks. And then we got Jericho wins that match, which I was actually surprised. I thought they were going to give that one to I really thought they were going to give that one to Cruz and have it all be like new people, but I kind of understand throwing Jericho in the mix just because of what happens a little bit later. Then Enzo and Big Cass come out, or Big Cass comes out. Then Enzo comes out. So Enzo's back. He was fired up. I mean, he was really fired up. There's even one point when they were in the ring, and Big Cass, you heard him on the mic. He's like, yo, bring it down a notch. Like, take it down a level. Because Enzo was just running around being super crazy. He had a fly-ass Jordan jacket, but it was like a Michael Jackson Thriller jacket with leather trim, and it had the Jordan logo on the back. It was pretty ridiculous. Their mic work obviously was masterful, hilarious, had me rolling. There was some stuff about boar's head and delicatessens that I don't think anybody understood, but Enzo was just lit. Like, he was super lit. So then you have Big Cass versus Bubba Ray Dudley. Big Cass wins. Dudley boys are just squashers at this point. Like, they're just out there just to put over the new guys, which is fine. I mean, you need some of the stronger old guard to put over this new blood. It makes sense. Then Charlotte came out with Dana Brooke and Ric Flair. She finally separated herself from her father. The crowd was really getting on her, and she responds well to the crowd. She snaps on them. She's like, I'm going to talk. I'm going to do my thing. She's like, what me again? See what happens. And the crowd just keeps going, but she ended up making her dad cry, pretty much saying that he was never around when she was a kid. They're done. She thought she couldn't make it without him. She did. Now you're not, when I walk in a room, it's not, oh, that's Ric Flair's daughter. Like, when you walk in a room, oh, that's Charlotte's father type thing. It was actually pretty well done. Dana Brooke was out there. She didn't talk a lot. What she did talk, it was meh, but it works. Having her pair up with another strong female and getting away from her dad is a smart move to go. Plus, you can't keep parading Ric Flair around forever. I think they've ran that course on that one. So now hopefully we'll start a new feud, and it won't be Natalya versus Charlotte anymore. Hopefully they'll start something new next week on Raw, because we got a few weeks until Money in the Bank. So it worked. Then we got Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler. Another Money in the Bank qualifying match. Of course, Ambrose won. Obviously, Ambrose is going to win this match, which made sense why Jericho won it. So now you got Zayn. Cesaro, Ambrose, and Jericho in the Money in the Bank. Then the last match of the night, AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens. Before the match, AJ came out, talked about how Roman Reigns was a great wrestler, which didn't get a good response from the crowd. Then he talked about how he would have won if it wasn't for the Usos, and he threw his buddies under the bus, Gallows and Anderson. So then they came out, and they were like all pissed off. They kind of went at it a little bit. They're like, we're done. There's no reason we need to be in the same ring. So cutting ties on the club, I thought was kind of weird to do, but we'll see how that goes, which made sense then. Actually, like my roommate pointed out, Chris, that KO is going to win, so then AJ can feud with those dudes, and it turned out he was right. KO did win. I thought they were going to give it to AJ Styles for sure, but KO wins. So now we got KO, Sami Zayn, Cesaro, Jericho, Ambrose, all in Money in the Bank, 2 open spots. Raw was efficient tonight. I'm giving Raw like a B+. We didn't even give grades for the pay-per-view last night, which I'd probably give it like probably also like a B+. But tonight's Raw moved by quick. It wasn't great, but it was Enzo coming back, Rollins coming back, good matches, solid pacing. So it was better than it has been in the last few weeks. But yeah, so that's it. That's another Thor's Thoughts, Thor's Thoughts number 8, like I said earlier. And until whatever we shoot next, deuces.